Hello everyone. In this 5-minute auto-pairing game on chessclub.com, the internet chess club, I was playing white against German international master Dr. Gunther Beikert. Apologies if that was pronounced incorrectly. Okay, so I've just played the move queen from b2 to b5, and now my opponent should have played rook c2. And here all the variations are slightly better for black. So the immediate threat is he's going to threaten my queen on b5. So here's some possible variations. If white plays queen takes d7, rook takes d7, and then tries to win a pawn on d5, bishop takes d5, rook takes d5, rook takes d5, e takes d5. Capturing the pawn right now would be bad because black will capture the pawn on a2, so white would best play a4 first. But then after bishop c5, black is slightly better. In this position he threatens to capture on f2, and white would probably have to play bishop e3, and black is slightly better. Obviously here white does not play queen takes b6, because after bishop c5 he'll fall victim to a big attack. And so the best continuation is just to play the queen back, queen b1. But after queen c6, black is slightly better. He's got a healthy extra pawn, and he's got domination of this c-file. Instead, my opponent blundered with the move bishop c5. And it seems that white should have a tactical solution here because of his ability to open the d-file, and black's loose rook on c6. The rook is protected twice, but the bishop on d5 is pinned, and the black queen can be decoyed. So here both rook takes d5 and bishop takes d5 look promising. So I want you to pause the video and have a think about which move is best. Okay, so the best move here is the simplest, which is bishop takes d5. And here all the variations are winning for white. After e takes d5, white plays rook takes d5, and here black will be forced to lose material. If he doesn't play bishop to d6, either his rook on c6 will fall or his rook on d8 will fall, because the black queen is overloaded. He can't defend both rooks at the same time. So the only move to prevent losing a rook is bishop d6, so that the d-file is blocked. But then white simply plays rook takes d6, rook takes d6, and here importantly rook takes d6. White ignores the attack on his queen, because otherwise he will capture the rook on d8. And here black has to move his queen away, queen e7, rook takes d8 check, queen takes d8, bishop e3, white will win another pawn, and he is easily winning. If instead of e takes d5, black goes for bishop takes f2 check, of course white does not play king takes f2, because after rook c2 check, black attacks the white queen on b5, and he will win material. White should simply sidestep this and play king g2, and he's completely winning, because of the same motif as before. The black can't protect both rooks at the same time. So the best continuation is rook d6, which actually looks quite strange because the rook is being attacked multiple times. And now, but the point here is black is attacking white's queen on b5, so he has no time to take the rook on d6. And so white should play queen takes d7, and after rook 6 takes d7, simply bishop c4, and he's got an extra piece and will win the endgame easily. Especially since all the rooks are on the d-file, and he can trade pieces very quickly, and that will make his win a lot faster. But instead of playing bishop takes d5, which was the best move, I went for the fancy looking rook takes d5, and after e takes d5, rook takes d5, I soon saw black's best response in this position, and it seemed, from what I saw, it seemed to leave black a bit better, but in fact this isn't true. So the best move here is the amazing rook d6, and this is similar to a move before. It attacks the white queen on b5, so white doesn't have time to capture the rook on d6, even though it's being attacked by two pieces directly and the bishop indirectly. Obviously here white doesn't play queen takes d7, because after rook 6 takes d7, the rook is no longer on d6, so white can't capture it, and black will just be an exchange up. And the difference between this and the other line where white took on d5 with the bishop is that white no longer has the rook on d1, so if he still had the rook on d1, he could just capture the rook on d7 and win a rook for free. And this is the critical difference between the two lines. So after rook d6, the best line is not queen takes d7, but rook takes d6, allowing black to capture the queen on b5. And now white plays rook takes d8 check, bishop f8, and now I thought white might be worse here, but he has the tricky e6 to establish equality. So he has a couple of threats in this position. It's to play e7 to exploit the pin on the king on d8, or it's to play bishop to d6 and then capture the bishop on f8. Here, if f takes c6 would be a blunder, because after bishop d6, white will capture the bishop on f8. If queen b4, this is just to defend this diagonal so that white is discouraged from playing bishop d6. He can play it anyway, but another line would be bishop d5, f takes c6, bishop takes c6, check, king h8, bishop d6, and now black has to go for this, or he doesn't have to, but he should best go for this perpetual queen e1 check, king g2, queen e4 check, king g1, queen e1 check, and it's a draw. And another line I'll just show where white does go into the endgame is queen e2, and now bishop d6, queen d1 check, bishop f1, queen takes d6. This could also have been reached in a similar way if in one of the other lines, instead of queen e2, if queen b4, white plays bishop d6 straight away. Black can capture this bishop, and after check, king takes, rook takes, bishop takes, we reach a similar endgame to the one we're about to look at. If queen e2, then bishop d6, and now black has to avoid this pin, so queen d1 check, bishop f1, queen takes d6, e takes f7 check, king takes f7, rook d6, bishop d6, f4, and this is an equal endgame. It will probably be drawn. Instead, to my immense luck, my opponent missed this maneuver, rook d6, and instead blundered with bishop takes f2 check, which leaves white in the winning position. So the key here is again to bypass the tricky king takes f2, rook c2 check, which creates unnecessary complications. In fact, black establishes equality in this line, so king takes f2 is actually a blunder. Instead, white should just sidestep this and play king f1, and black no longer has a check on the c file with his rook because the bishop defends the c1 square. And so here my opponent is actually losing now. My opponent went for rook d6. The idea here is to again pressure the queen on b5, so obviously white does not play rook takes d6 because queen takes b5 check is winning for black. But here you can simply take the rook, and after e takes d6, black will be in the losing endgame because white is pressuring the queen on d7 and he's pressuring the bishop on f2, so black will be forced to trade queens into this much worse endgame. So after queen takes b5 check, rook takes b5. Now my opponent played bishop c5. Now I just redirected my rook so that I could push the pawn. I played rook b2. My opponent played f6, rook d2, king f7. So now the king is going to come to the aid of the black defense, so I try to prevent this by playing bishop d5 check. and after king g6, bishop e6. The point of this move is that the bishop seals off the king's squares, so the king can't come to the defense and prevent my pawn from moving forward. And here my opponent resigned because simply white will push his pawn up, and with the help of his bishops, and it's very helpful to have both bishops because the white bishop can cover the light squares and the dark squared bishop can cover the dark squares, and this endgame will be easily won. Black will have to sacrifice his rook for the white pawn and white will win easily. So my opponent resigned here after this roller coaster game, and in which I was extremely lucky when I didn't find the best continuation back when he made the blunder bishop c5, and I should have played bishop takes d5, but luckily I got away with rook takes d5. Thanks for watching this video.